Hi everyone, it's Taheerah, and today I'm bringing you a fun love-themed card featuring Newton's Nook designs. I just want to mention that this is part of a special video blog hop for Emily Leiphart celebrating some great YouTube milestones, and there are some great prizes from sponsors up for grabs, so let's get started. To make my card, I'm starting with a card base made from pure white cardstock from Avery L. I'm making a tall thin card, so I'm measuring the first cut at approximately 6 1/4 inches, and I'm also going to make this about 8 1/4 inches tall, so I'm just measuring this up against my paper trimmer, adding my magnetic ruler and making my second cut. The next thing I'm going to do is score and fold my card base, so I'm just getting my score buddy and I'm going to be making my fold at 4 1/8 inch. Now my score buddy doesn't actually have a groove at that mark, so I'm just shifting my cardstock along to the first 1/8 inch, holding it in place and then making my score line. Please forgive the camera from doing some weird kind of zooming in and out. It's because my lens is just not behaving itself. The lines that you see are from where I usually mark my screen resolution. So I've got my card base anyway, and I'm going to be adding this wonderful vellum piece that I've cut from some Webster's Pages vellum, and before I do that I actually want to die cut some clouds from it. So I'm going to be using this die set from Lawn Fawn called Blue Skies. I want to actually use just the clouds, so I want to show you quickly how I would die cut those clouds. First of all, I want to release those dies from being wired together, and I used to actually do this with just a pair of scissors and try and break them off, but I decided to invest in a pair of wire snips, and I'm really glad I did. It makes the whole process much easier. So I've just released those dies from the rest of the dies, and I'm getting my big shot. I'm going to be die cutting 3 clouds, 2 in one go, and then the third one last. So I'm just putting my vellum down on my platform, lining up my clouds where I want them to go, adding my top cutting plate and just die cutting those through. And once I've die cut those, I'm just going to cut a second smaller cloud in the middle there, placing my die back in place, and away we go again with the big shot, like so. So I'm going to actually keep those lovely little clouds for another project, they're just so beautiful. I've now got my panel, and I want to affix that to my card base. I'm going to be using some pin flare glue gel, but before I do that I actually want to add some pattern behind the clouds, so I'm going to use this pattern paper from Glitz, and it's just really beautiful, nice subtle pattern, and some of it will also show through the vellum, which is great. I decided I wanted to hand cut this for a more homemade look, so I'm just roughly measuring where that dimensions of the part paper is going to be, and just roughly trimming those. I actually did the same with the vellum as well, so you can see how beautiful that's going to look. I'm going to adhere the first piece of pattern paper to my card base using some score tape, and I'm not too bothered about exact positioning here or that the paper's a little bit loose, so I'm just adding some in the middle. And as I mentioned before with the vellum, I'm actually going to use some pin flare glue gel. So I'm just getting my syringe of pin flare glue gel, bear with me. And any minute now, yes, just showing you the clouds again, and here's the pin flare glue gel. I'm only going to add the glue just around the edges of the cloud die cuts. Now because this is coloured vellum, it won't show up too well on the reverse side, which is great. You will still see it slightly if you look very closely, but I'm not too bothered about that. So just adding some rough lines of glue and lining that up on my panel, just pressing it down lightly, and that's my card base all prepared. Next step. Right, I'm going to be using this wonderful stamp set from Newton's Nook Designs called Newton Dreams of Paris, and I'm also going to be using this little squirrel from Hanging Around. I'm going to be inking this up with VersaFine Onyx Black ink and just stamping that down onto some pure white cardstock, like so. And I want to have a little squirrel hanging off the edge of the string there, so I'm just rotating my panel so I can stamp it more easily, and there he is. He looks so cute. I'm going to be actually watercolouring this design, so I'm just setting up my large acrylic block to scribble onto, cup of water, and I'm going to be using distress markers to colour my image, so I'm just scribbling those down, and I'll play some music while I watercolour. with my watercolour colouring all complete, the next thing I'm going to do is fussy cut this image. Now this is where I made a bit of a mistake because I wasn't patient and I should have actually let the cardstock have time to dry thoroughly. You'll see now how this makes a difference, because when I actually trim around the image, you're going to see that the edges end up being a little bit rough in places. So don't do what I did, do it properly, have some patience. But I was a little bit stressed just wanting to get this all done in time. So anyway, back to the fussy cutting. As you can see, I actually moved my cardstock round instead of moving my scissors, and this just means that I get a smoother cut if you ignore the fact about the ragged edges. So anyway, I'm just completing my fussy cutting now, and you'll see that I actually trim out the little squirrel, and then I finished trimming out the gaps between the balloon strings as well. This actually meant that I ended up breaking off the little squirrel because it ended up being a very fine piece of cardstock in between. So anyway, here you can see I've actually broken it off, but that's the way it goes sometimes. If I'd been patient, that actually probably wouldn't have happened. Anyway, to finish off the card, I'm going to actually just adhere this balloon and squirrel to my card using pin flare glue gel. My glue gel was misbehaving in terms of where I wanted to put it, but it still adds enough dimension for where I want. I'm just going to be putting a little bit of glue gel on the back of the squirrel's head and on some of the pennants of the string. That should be just about enough to hang him off the side of the card without having glue show through. I'm just altering the position of that glue a little bit with my finger and pressing down the squirrel. So my card is almost done, but the last thing I want to do is add a little cloud. I'm going to be pulling out the Newton Dreams of Paris stamp set again and using the meow sentiment inside the cloud itself. So I'm just pulling those stamps out. I was going to actually stamp this onto some pure white cardstock, but I changed my mind and decided to go back to that pattern paper from Glitz. So here it is, a little strip of it. Just positioning where I want my cloud to be and stamping that down, and then just getting the sentiment as well and inking that up and stamping that inside the cloud. So to complete my card, I'm just going to fussy cut this cloud image, and you'll see I get much smoother edges this time because the paper isn't wet. So just fussy cutting this cloud out, and sorry, this is going to take a couple of minutes. When this has finished fussy cutting out, I'm just going to adhere it to my card using some thin flare glue gel. So finished fussy cutting there, just working out where I want the cloud to go and getting my pin flare glue gel and squeezing some of that out and adhering my cloud. And that is the card. Thank you so much for joining in with this special video blog hop for Emily Leiphart. And I just want to remind you that there are several stops along this hop. The next one is Daniel Walls of Neat and Tangled. I'm going to leave you with some images, and thank you so much for joining me. Bye!